Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunya Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunya Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yamunadira Vanachari Jaya Kunya Bihari Yamunadira Vanachari Jaya Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunya Bihari So this morning we will read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 16. Praise of King Prithu by the professional reciters, Text 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat Nasabheshya Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevyam Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Durasado Durvisaha Asanopi Viduravat Naiva Bibhavitum Sakyom Vinaranyutito Nalam Durasado Durvisaha Asanopi Viduravat Naiva Bibhavitum Sakyom Venaranyutiton Yatanalam Durasado Durvisaham Asanopi Viduravat Naiva Bibhavitum Sakyom Venaranyutiton Alam. Please. Durasado Durvishaha Asanopi Viduravat Naiva Bibhavitum Sakyo Vinaranyutiton Alam. Durasado Durvishaha Asanopi Viduravat Naiva Bibhavitum Sakyo Venaranyutiton Alam. Durasado Durvishaha Asanopi Viduravat Naina Bibhavitum Sakyo Venaranyutiton Alam. Mataji. Durasado Durvisaham Asanopi Viduravat Naiva Bibhavitum Sakyo Venaranyutiton Alam. But for a translation, Durasada, unapproachable, Durvisaha, unbearable, Asana, being approached, Api, although, Viduravat, as if far away, Na, never, Eva, certainly, Abhibhavitum, to be overcome, Sakya, able, Vina, King Vena, Arani, the wood that produced fire. Utitaha, being born of Anala, fire. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. King Prithu was born of the dead body of King Vena as fire is produced from Arani wood. Thus King Prithu will always remain just like fire, and his enemies will not be able to approach him. Indeed, he will be unbearable to his enemies, for although staying very near him, they will never be able to approach him, but will have to remain as if far away. No one will be able to overcome the strength of King Prithu. Purport. Arani wood is a kind of fuel used to ignite fire by friction. At the time of performing sacrifices, one can ignite a fire from Arani wood. Although born of his dead father, King Prithu would remain just like fire. Just as fire is not easily approached, King Prithu would be unapproachable by his enemies, even though they would appear to be very near him. So, repeat the verse once again. Durasado dovishaha asano pi viduravat naiva biba vitum sakyo venayam mutito nalaha. King Prithu was born of the dead body of King Vena as fire is produced from Arani wood. Thus King Prithu will always remain just like fire, and his enemies will not be able to approach him. Indeed, he will be unbearable to his enemies, for all those staying very near to him. They will never be able to approach him, but will have to remain as if far away. No one will be able to overcome the strength of King Prithu. Om Ajnanatimandasya Chalanchana Shalakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutaleshvam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shirum Vaishnavam Sa Shri Rupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sankhan Valdita Shivishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinu Bandhu Jatpate Kopesha Kopkakanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhani Sutta Devi Pranamama Hari Priye Achakalaptrabhisha Kripasinabhisha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurabhani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarane. Srila Prabhupada Ki. So King Prithu was born of the dead body of King Vena. Vena, he was not doing his duty as a king. What is the duty of a king? That it is explained in the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam. There, the appearance of the Manus and the duties of the Manus are explained. That the duty of the Manu, there are 71 Manus in one day of Brahma. One day of Brahma is 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas, Divya yugas. So yes, that and the duty of the Manu was to make sure everyone follows the laws for mankind. That Manu means a human. Yeah, Manu. The Manus, they follow the laws of mankind, which are written in or compiled in the Manu Samhita, a lot of rules. But what is the essence of all these rules? What's the duty of the Manus is to re-establish Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is the occupational duty of every living entity. And the occupational duty of every living entity is to their duty for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. That, therefore, Manu Samhita includes all the rules of the Varnas and Ashrams. Everyone does one's duty. That, of course, these duties is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. These duties in Varnashram should be executed for Haritoshanam, to please the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, it's Shrama Eva Kevalam. It's just some useless endeavor. So the purpose is to become Krishna conscious and act in devotional service. That's the purpose of the Varnashram, and that is Sanatana Dharma. The Savai Pumsa Parodharmo Yato Bhaktiradoxe Ahait Kapatiyata Yatma Shupashidati. The highest duty of mankind is to perform devotional service, which must be unmotivated and without interruption. And then everyone will become happy. That's the formula how to become happy. You must be engaged according to your material, psychophysical nature. Then you feel materially happy, and then you perform devotional service. You use that in the service of the Supreme Lord. Shri Radha Govinda ki. So this is the purpose of human life, and this is Sanatana Dharma. And it was a king's duty to make sure everyone was engaged in this Sanatana Dharma. That's the first duty of a king. And King Vena did not do that. He did just the opposite. He was engaging everyone in irreligious activities. But he was a very powerful king, King Vena. And everyone was afraid of him. And because everyone was afraid of him, the thieves and the criminals had no chance. They were fearful. That was one good thing, but he did not do his duty. And he was disrespecting the Brahmins. So in that time, the Brahmins were very powerful. And they just killed King Vena just by reciting mantra. But then Vena, he was killed, his body was lying there. But then all these rogues and these thieves started to plunder. So they needed a forceful king again. And therefore, they created the body of Prithu Maharaj just from the dead body of King Vena. This is a puzzle for the modern scientist, how this is possible. But this is mystic power. Everything happens by mystic power, because the mystic power comes from the soul. By the mystic power of the soul, this body is alive. And King Prithu, then we see in these chapters the suttas and the magas. They are glorifying the Supreme Lord. He has not done anything yet, but they are glorifying him for the activities he will do in the future. How do they know these activities? That it's all these incarnations are predicted in the scriptures. They are there. And also self-realized sages, they are Trikalagya, they know past, present, and future. Because when Krishna appeared, then yes, Narada Muni was anxious to see all these pastimes of Krishna, and he wanted to make sure it would happen soon. And that's one of the reasons he told Kamsa that yes, these demigods have cheated you, that the eighth son that will kill you is born somewhere else, and it's Krishna. So he revealed everything to Kamsa. Why did he do that? Because he wanted to see all these pastimes which were described in the scriptures. Because Krishna appears once in a day of Brahma. That is scheduled. Once in a day of Brahma means in the 27th Manu, Ashvata Manu, and then the 28th Yuga of the 71, and then in that Yuga, in that Divya Yuga, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, Krishna would appear. So that's scheduled. That every day of Brahma this happens. So the sages, they knew all these things. But King Prithu, and that's a point made here, he will be a very strong ruler. We see also in the first canto, Maharaj Pariksit, but at the time of his birth, he was also glorified for the activities he will do in the future. And this is from the first canto, 117.6. This is Maharaj Pariksit confronting Kali, who is at the point of abusing a cow and beating a cow. And so Maharaj Pariksit is addressing Kali. He says, "You rogue, do you dare beat an innocent cow because Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the carrier of the Gandiva bow, are out of sight? Since you are beating the innocent in a secluded place, you are considered a culprit and therefore deserve to be killed." And he was ready to kill him. Of course, before, a few chapters before, it is said in chapter 12, all the qualities of Maharaj Pariksit are explained in the first canto. And there it is said that Maharaj Pariksit will be They said, if the Brahmins said at that time, Maharaj Parikshit will be exactly like Ram, Lord Ram, the personality of Godhead, the son of Maharaj Dasarath. And then a bit further in the same chapter, among great bowmen, this child will be as good as the Arjunas. He will be as irresistible as fire, also fire here, and insurpassable as the ocean. So these are great examples of kings, and all these professional reciters, they are glorifying the Lord, King Prithu, for his activities which he will do. But King Prithu said before that you are glorifying me, but I did not do yet anything. Why should I take credit for something which I did not do yet? So that's called humility. So these kings were devotees. They had all good qualities. As King Prithu is a Sakti-avesa avatar of the Lord. So it's all these good qualities. And humility is a very important quality. The opposite of humility is pride. If one becomes proud, pride becomes before the fall, they say. So that brings up to the point of how to develop this quality of humility. So one feels humble when one feels himself as the lowest, but one cannot apply this artificially. When the devotee said to Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. And Prabhupada said, you are not the most of anything, because it's just an exposition of false ego. If you are not purified, you cannot take artificially that position of being humble and present yourself as humble. You have heard that the pure devotee feels himself the most fallen. So he said to Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen because I'm the greatest devotee. I'm the most fallen. That's an exposition of false ego. We cannot do that artificially. Another time, another devotee said the same to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. And Prabhupada said, yes. And what are you going to do about it? So that's more practical. But without humility, there is false ego. False ego and humility are going together. Because without humility, there is false ego, and without humility, you cannot develop love of Godhead. That's going together. But how to develop it? Like in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter, verses 8 to 11, there you have a manitvam, humility, as the first item of knowledge. Means when we see knowledge, we see reality, becomes humble. So first, to become humble, one must come out of ignorance and understand who I am. An insignificant soul. So if there is pride, someone who is proud means this person is in ignorance. That's all. You know, if someone that, of course, there is also transcendental, right? But we are not yet on that platform. That's something else. So, of course, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, because before going to Bhagavad Gita, I remember the 11th canto, Uddhav Gita. And there you have the Sanat Kumaras that they asked a question to Lord Brahma. That he said, this in our mind, the objects of our meditation, they enter our mind. So the mind is connected with these objects. How can we break that connection and become detached? It was an interesting question. He asked that question to Brahma. And Brahma said, with his forehead, he started to think. And he came to the conclusion, I don't know. I don't know the answer on that question. So is Brahma, if Brahma doesn't know something, then he prays to the Supreme Lord for help. And the Lord appeared as Hamsa avatar. And Hamsa avatar appears before the Sanat Kumaras. Yes, that they asked him the same question, but before they asked that question, they asked Hamsa avatar, because he's in the form of a swan, Hamsa. And the Sanat Kumaras are asking that question, who are you? And Hamsa avatar explains them, the fact that you are asking this question means you are in illusion. That you think I'm on the same level as you. Because if you know who you are, then you know I'm a spirit soul, very tiny, 1/10,000 of a point of a hair. That's what we are, and not much, very insignificant in the area of the heart. But it's very powerful. But they were thinking, because they saw Hamsa, as a body, not as a spirit soul. I said, who are you? Are you American? Are you European? Are you man, woman? And Hamsa avatar starts to chastise them and said, from your question, it appears you are in ignorance. That you see myself, Hamsa, as consisting of 24 elements. So you could have asked, how are you 24? Anyway, it's interesting that false ego, how it works. But right, if one is proud, then it means ignorance. And Krishna speaks about it in Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti kriyamani guna kamna sarvasa hankara vimutatma kartim iti manyate. He says that those who think they are doing everything in this world, but factually is done by three modes of nature. And three modes of nature, they are under control of the super soul, Mayadrakshana Prakriti. Krishna says, I control all these things. So many times we think, yes, I'm doing things. And it's true, we are also one of the doers. It's explained in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 5. 5 factors of action. The body, which is the material nature. The senses is material nature. All the endeavors in the mind is material nature. That's all controlled by the supersoul, 4th factor. And we are the karta, the doer. We are also doing, but only by desire. The rest is done by material nature. I'm speaking, I'm moving my hand, because Krishna wants. Because if it's not supporting that, then I cannot say anything. And that's also explained in the 5th chapter. It's mentioned there by walking, opening and closing your eyes, evacuating, and so on, that only the senses are interacting with their objects. And that's controlled by material nature. It's done by material nature. So what we are doing in this material world is very little. Not much. But we are also the doer. But we are not the doer. It depends on the sanction of the supersoul. And unless one understands that, one cannot become humble. Everything happens because of the sanction of the supersoul. It means it's an important lesson to learn. We are the servants of the circumstances that Krishna gives us in our lives. And we have to act within these circumstances. If you have a body of a dog, you cannot go for self-realization. You must act according to your circumstances. We have all different circumstances that by our karma and so on. So we are servants of these circumstances. That we can only act within these circumstances that Krishna gives us. So humility is the first factor of knowledge, but how to develop it then? That's one who gets knowledge. That's explained here in this 13th chapter, 80:12. Means that when one develops knowledge, when one becomes prideless, when one becomes non-violent, when one becomes tolerant, when one becomes simple, that if one understands the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, and if one understands that one must become free from the entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest. One must become equal in pleasant and unpleasant events, and so on. These are all realizations Krishna describes here from someone who comes in knowledge. That's the process of getting knowledge. Realizations. But these are 21 items Krishna mentioned. But you cannot just get these realizations. No. Prabhupada explained in the purport, to get these realizations, one must first accept a bona fide spiritual master. That's one of the 21. And from this spiritual master, one must learn how to perform devotional service and engage in devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master. And then all the other items will develop. We will get these realizations gradually. And then, as a result of that, humility develops. One becomes humble. That's how he develops humility. That humility develops when one's knowledge increases. When one's transcendental knowledge becomes manifest. That the thing here is that all these qualities develop. You don't have to endeavor separately to develop these qualities. But what does the spiritual master say? If we take guidance of the spiritual master, he tells us things to do and things not to do. And that's the beginning of the process of surrender. Surrender means abiding by the orders of the spiritual master. And Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instructions gives us a summary of all these to-dos and not to-dos. So that's the beginning of humility, following these instructions of the spiritual master. Positive, negative. Rupa Goswami said, Utsaya Nishyadaya Tatat Karma Varnanat Jnana Sangha Satovite Sadbir Bhaktir Rashidati. 6 items that helps us to advance in devotional service. Being enthusiastic, Utsaya, have confidence, patience, perform the 9 forms of devotional service, follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, avoiding association with materialists. But also the negative injunctions, atya, prayashasya, prajalpa, niyamarvam, jnana sangas, salalyamsha, sadvir bhaktir, vinashati. So this atyara, more endeavoring than necessary, that prayas, endeavoring for things that are very difficult to obtain. Prajalpa, speaking about sense gratification and nonsense. One should stop that. And that follow the rules and regulations for making spiritual advancement, not for any other motive. And avoid association with those who are always speaking about sense gratification. If one does these 2 things to do and things not to do, then the next step in the process of surrender comes about. And you start to understand that Krishna is my only maintainer. He maintains everything. By hearing the scriptures, we hear Krishna is the cause of everything. And that's one of the 10 topics of the Bhagavatam, Poshanam. Krishna protects his devotees. That Krishna is my only maintainer, Krishna is my only protector. And if one realizes these things, that I cannot even maintain myself if Krishna does not help me, like Srivas Thakur at his realization, Krishna is my only maintainer. Srivas Thakur was never concerned about working and maintaining his family. He always depended on Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya came one day to see him and said to Srivas that if one day Krishna does not maintain you, does not give you food and what you need. What will you do? And Shiva said, he clapped three times in his hand and said, then we and the family, we will chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And then Lord Chaitanya said, and if Krishna a second day doesn't provide you what you need. So Shiva clapped three times in his hands and said, then we will chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And Lord Chaitanya said, if Krishna does not maintain you for a third day, what will you do? Then Shiva said, then I will go with my family to the Ganga and we will drown ourselves. So he was so convinced Krishna will maintain me. Krishna will protect me. Krishna is my only maintainer, my only protector. And then one comes to the point of real surrender. And it's at that point of surrender when one has developed this humility. The humility develops gradually, accepting what's favorable, rejecting what's unfavorable. Krishna is my maintainer, my protector. Then surrender, Atmanivedanam. And then this humility is fully manifest. So this quality of humility comes about as we are making progress in spiritual life. It's not something we can imitate, although we may not be so humble yet, but we can apply Vaishnava etiquette. And how to deal seniors, juniors, by applying this Vaishnava etiquette, we are, although we may not be advanced, we are acting factually as a spirit soul. Because Vaishnava etiquette, my Guru Maharaj always explained this. It's Brahma Achar, Bhakti Maharaj said in his seminar on Vaishnava etiquette. Brahma Achar. Acting, Achar means acting, Brahma means spirit, acting as a spirit soul. And in his introduction he explained that Lord Chaitanya said, yes, also the ornament, this ornament of a devotee is acting according to Vaishnava etiquette. But if one is spiritually advanced, one applies this automatically, spontaneously. But if we learn Vaishnava etiquette, at least we follow the etiquette and we avoid offenses automatically because we follow. So therefore it's so important to know this Vaishnava etiquette. That's a big topic that I used to give a seminar on that based on the documents, on the seminar outline from Bhakti Maharaj. But it's a very important aspect of our practice following this Vaishnava etiquette. So I will stop here. Any question, comments? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the lecture, and I have two questions. One is about what you said about the mystic powers. If mystic powers come from the soul, are mystic powers meant to be used in the material world if they are used to please Krishna?
Yeah, that's these mystic powers are always there, of course. But the yogis, they develop it. They have 8 siddhis, perfections, becoming lighter than the lightest, or becoming more heavy than the heaviest, becoming getting all these prakamya cities, getting everything what you want, or controlling others' minds. So there are so many mystic powers, but and if we make spiritual advancement, the yogis, they develop this, but the real yogi is not interested in it. Because when he becomes interested in these mystic powers and use them for one's own benefit, they become deviated. Because they are still materialistic, these mystic powers. So therefore it's very important always to use everything in Krishna's service. If Krishna gives us mystic powers, we use it in Krishna's service. That's also described. There are so many different kinds of living beings described in the Bhagavatam. You have the Gandharvas, they can sing very beautifully, and they sing for the Supreme Lord. That was the problem with Narada Muni in his previous life. He was a Gandharva in his previous life. His name was Upabharana. And he was very beautiful. And he was handsome, singing. And he was attracted by... He attracted many female Gandharvas. And then one day they went to a Sankirtan festival, where many sages were. Sankirtan festival is meant to glorify the Supreme Lord. But he came there as a playboy with all these Gandharva girls, and he started to sing, Prabhupada said, cinema songs, glorifying the demigods. So that was a misuse of his powers, and therefore he was cursed to become the son of a maidservant, a Sudra, in his next life. But of course, this curse, a curse of sages, is always a blessing in disguise. So it was, by that he became Narada Muni, and then because after this life, by association with the Bhaktivedantas, he got a spiritual body, a better body.
Thank you. And the second question is about developing humility. And I wonder if it's more than, like, the soul is already humble. So if we remember or purify our body and connect with our soul, then we don't have to develop humility, right? You just need to remember.
If you are purified in heart, then you are already humble. Purification means becoming humble.
Okay, so the list of different things of how we can develop is to purify our bodies, basically.
Yes, purification, because we purify us from our false ego. False ego is a kind of pride. We think we are the body, and we think whatever abilities I have are my abilities, and everything, and materialist things, everything depends on my power. We don't need God. But God makes a heartbeat, and that can stop every moment. But they are so foolish to say no on my power. But we are all dependent on the circumstances Krishna gives. Okay. Good. Good. Thank you very much. Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.